You're listening to Storage Nerds Podcast, where we unravel the best-kept secret of the real estate investing world, the storage industry. Join the grassroots guru in self-storage, Stacy Rossetti, in insightful discussions about finding, funding, and running these spaces, allowing you to yield the highest returns possible. Get your foot in the door on self-storage and discover how to properly purchase facilities, negotiate with sellers, and close the deal without worries. Start unpacking that investment wisdom with Stacy right now.
If you want to learn how to invest in self-storage, you are in the right place, because that's what I do. I teach people how to invest in self-storage, and I've been doing it for a while now. I've been investing for a while now. We have 16 facilities, and then we partner with I partner with my students as well too. We have a good handful of students that I'm partnering with, and so I'm kind of all over the place, and I'm in like a lot of different states. In fact, I really have no idea how many states I'm in, but we are kind of all over the place. And I've been teaching people how to invest in self-storage now for about 4 going on 5 years. And, teaching is my passion, really, honestly, if anybody wants to know that. Teaching is my passion. I just happen to teach how to invest in real estate. That's what I teach, right? So I'm lucky enough to be able to teach that. And I've been investing in real estate since the upturn of 2011. And we did a lot of flipping houses for a long time. We did for 5 years. We flipped houses. We did like 100, and got tired of it and decided to just focus on passive income and trying to figure out how to make passive income. And I also got pregnant at the time. I got pregnant with Lillian. So Lillian just turned 8 last week. And when we bought our first facility, she was in my tummy. Okay, so that's how long we've been investing in self-storage. And that was she's the main reason why we did get into self-storage, because I was doing 10 rehabs at a time. I was just running around like a crazy person. And I was just, as a mom, I was thinking there's just no way I could just take care of this baby and then also manage all these facilities. So really started to focus on passive income, storage. Luckily, I got into storage investing, and all of the commercial real estate out there. Storage investing, I think, is going to be one of the easiest ways to make money. Now, it doesn't mean that it's easy. It's just that it's one of the easiest ways to make money. And actually the return is really high on storage. It's not as good as industrial warehouse. So if you want to make more money, industrial warehouse is kind of where you want to be at, but then storage is right after that. And, in terms of like cash on cash return or ROI and even cap rates, self-storage kind of beats everybody. So that is why I'm here today. And I was teaching people how to invest in, I was teaching people how to do rehabs for like at least 5 years, maybe 4 or 5 years before I started teaching people how to do self-storage. So I'm a teacher. That's what I do. And I appreciate you guys listening in. I will teach every Wednesday. Not every Wednesday, because every once in a while something comes up. I got technical issues or something happens, we're on vacation or whatever. But most Wednesdays I'm here at 1 o'clock, and every week it's different. Okay, so they're just like, I'm the type of personality. There's no way that I'd be able to do the same presentation week after week after week. So I just mix it up. Like whatever I feel like needs to be taught, I'm going to teach. Last week we talked about funding. This week we're going to talk about deal analysis, and I'm just kind of leading up to my boot camp, which is coming up in May. On May 18th and 19th, I'm gonna have a 2-day boot camp. I'm opening it up to the public. Typically, I only teach to students, but a lot of people can't afford to become students right now, and I totally get that. So I decided to open up my boot camps to the public so that you can have like a couple of days of just 2 full days of getting taught. I do boot camps January and May, and then in September, but it's 3 different topics. It's finding, and then funding, and then running. So this boot camp in May is funding. It's 2 full days of just like, how did Stacy buy 16 storage facilities and partner with another, 10 or 15 people, right? How is she doing that? How is she raising money? How's she finding money to buy deals? And how is her structures for her partnerships and things like that? These questions, I know y'all are all asking yourselves, right? And those questions will be answered in the 2-day boot camp. And we'll get into really kind of just a deep dive into how those structures work. And so that so that when you do come across a deal that you want to buy, you don't have to pass up on it because you don't know how to buy it, right? And the thing is that commercial real estate is like super expensive, so everybody can go out and buy $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 facility, but your ROI and your cash on cash and your returns are really not that high on little tiny deals. You have to buy a whole bunch of those in order to make money. And then, but the question is, how do you buy a whole bunch of those? Or should I just buy one bigger one? But if I buy one bigger one, how can I afford it? Right? So just you get into this kind of like cycle. So that's kind of what I'm doing, is I'm breaking it down in the boot camp. I own 16 facilities, and we haven't put a dime of our own money into purchasing any of them. Right? And so I am the epitome of like no money down. And I do a lot of creative deal structures. And so that's really what the first day is going to be focusing on, is creative deal structures, and like I'm going to go over that today, so you kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. Like, how do you do that? And then, and of course, I also raise money. I'm always asking people for money and raising money. And that's how I buy a lot of my deals as well too. And so that is what the 2 days are going to be about, is like raising money and creative deal structures, and then also structuring your deals. And I have a very, very good attorney. His name is David. He's been working with me for years now, and he's going to come into the boot camp and he's going to talk about structures as well too. And we're going to kind of just look at some of my deals and really how did we structure those, so that, because like one of the questions I get from my students all the time in StorageNerds is like, okay, how do I structure this? Like, how am I going to buy this? So we have one student right now. He's buying a facility in Texas, and it's a $2.5 million facility, right? And it's his very first facility. How can you buy a $2.5 million facility as your very first facility? And so that's kind of like, we're going through that with him right now. And David is coming in and helping us with that structure. And how do you find the money to do something like that? So that's what the boot camp is about. So hopefully y'all come hang out with me on that day. I put onto the board, you can see behind me, you can see on the screen that my website is stacyrossetti.com. And then StorageNerds is the coaching program. The doors are closed. I do not know when I'm going to be opening up the doors to StorageNerds again, because I'm really focusing on trying to help everybody that's in StorageNerds, close on deals. And so whenever I feel like I can take on some more students, I'll open the doors up. But you can get onto the wait list is what you can do. Okay. All right. What is this update? Okay. And then also finally, before we get started, super simple this is the triad, right? That I always talk about. This is the learning triad. All right. If you're new and you do not know anything about self-storage investing, and you're asking yourself, where do I find deals? How do I know if they're good deals? And how can I truly manage these things and have it be passive income? Okay, so if these are the typical questions that everybody's asking, then this course is what's going to take you through that. All right. And then I also have the deal analyzer. I'm going to go over the deal analyzer today and show you how we analyze deals. So you just get an idea. That's one of the questions, is one of the biggest questions I get, is like, how do I know if it's a good deal or not? And the truth is that you have to learn how to invest. You have to learn how to run creative deal structure. You have to learn how to run commercial deal analysis. You have to learn funding is what you have to learn in order to buy commercial real estate. And so that is what the deal analyzer does. And then we have the Wednesday trainings. I told you I'm here at 1 o'clock every Wednesday. And if I'm not here, and just sign up for the next Wednesday, it'll be something completely new and I'll just talk about it. And then the Facebook group, if you haven't joined that yet, it's called Super Simple Self-Storage. So just join that, and that's where you could post out any questions, or if you're trying to wholesale a deal or whatever it is. I mean, there's like 12,000 people, 13,000 people in that group, and it's growing every week. It's growing. So it's a good place for you to learn and ask questions. And I'm in there and I'm answering everybody all the time. Okay, if you have any questions. This is my triad, right? This is what I suggest that you purchase. If you're interested in learning, you can just go to stacyrossetti.com and you can buy all that. Or at the end of this session, I didn't write that down, and I always forget to say this, but at the end of the session, you always get a feedback form. If you fill out this feedback form, you will get emailed $1,000 off the course. Okay. You just have to fill the feedback format, and then you'll get the offer. Okay. So, and I love getting the feedback. I guess sometimes I get like, oh, Stacy, it was great, I learned so much. And sometimes it was like, you suck at teaching, why are you doing this? You know, so, but any feedback is good feedback, because I do take it to heart and try to really improve on everything I'm doing. Okay. All right. So good. Welcome. Thank you for coming. And then somebody says, will the boot camp include wholesaling? No, the boot camp is not going to include wholesaling. That was in the January boot camp. Funding is, so the way the boot camp is it's Saturday is raising money. It's all about raising money, talking to people, private money lenders. I'll go through the deal analyzer, because you have to be able to know if it's a good deal and know how to work creative deal structure. So you'll be working the deal analyzer the entire time. And then Saturday is like creative deal structures, and then also partnerships and like syndications and things like that. So it's really, that's creative deal structure. So when I say creative deal structures, I include like partnerships, syndications, owner financing, you know, wraps or whatever. Like I did on like the last one I closed, I did a loan assumption plus a wraparound mortgage, all in the same deal. All right, so it's like, oh God, well, what the heck did you just say, Stacy? And I'll go through and I'll explain how I did the assumption and how I did a wraparound mortgage, because I have 2 mortgages on that property. How did we do that? Okay, so stuff like that is what you're gonna learn in the boot camp. I mean, the thing is that property I bought, it was $2.5 million. Worth over $5 million. If I did not know how to do that structure, I would have never ever been able to purchase that. And I didn't put a dime of my own money into any of that. So I bought a $2.5 million facility, and then I raised enough money for the down payment of that property, and I got one owner. I assumed the loan of the first owner, and then I got the second owner to sell it finance. So like that is a lot of creative deal structures, right? That's a lot going on there. And I didn't put any money into that deal. So how do you do stuff like that? That's what the boot camp's going to be about, okay? All right. I am going to pull this up. Yes, good. Okay, it worked. I was wondering if that was going to work. Okay, everybody can see the deal analyzer now. And let me see. Just make sure that y'all can see that. Everybody should be able to see the deal analyzer. Okay. So what I wanted to do today is go over what my deal analyzer looks like, but like not really, don't look at it as like, oh, Stacy's trying to pitch to you her deal analyzer. That is not what I'm meaning. What I'm meaning to show you is like, when you analyze a deal, these are the things that you need to know and understand. These are the things that you need to be looking at when you analyze a deal. All right, so that is what I'm going to go over, because I get a lot of questions all the time, which is, you like, you know, what do you like? What's the information that you need in order to run deal analysis? How can you run? What's a quick way to run deal analysis? And actually, I just got an email like right before this meeting, and the email was, "Will you please be my co-signer on a loan?" Like, I don't know who you are. It's like some random email, you know? But like, I get questions about raising money and deal analysis like every day. Like, you know, is this a good deal? And somebody will just forward it to me, you know? And obviously I'm like, you know, I can't help this person, you know, but like, and I tell you what I do when somebody sends me that is just say, look, just set up a consult with me and I'll go through this deal and I'll show you it. Or you can always watch all my sessions or get the deal analyzer course and use that to run numbers. So that's kind of what I tell everybody, but I do get that stuff every day. So I figured I would go through what are the things that you need right now in order, like if you're looking on Craigslist or if you're talking to an owner, what are the things that you need to get from the broker or from the owner in order to run deal analysis? These are the things, and everything that you see in yellow on this deal analyzer is what you're going to need. Okay. All right, so you can see here that the way this is like for us on our deal analyzer, this is our inputs. This is where we're putting all the information. And so you can see here in yellow, you have the market cap rate. All right, so this is a question that I get all the time is like, what is the market cap rate for the area? Okay, and I wonder if I can write on this. That would be awesome, but I don't know how to do that. Is it this one? Yeah. Let's see. Okay, good. Okay, so this is what it looks like. If you remember primary, if you followed me before, you know this. So secondary, tertiary. Okay. Now, primary cap rate is going to be like a city, right? Like a metropolitan, like Nashville or Orlando or whatever. And so your cap rates are going to be lower there, right? Typically your cap rate, this is a cap rate explanation. Your cap rates, and the cap rate honestly is like super biased. I mean, people could be in a primary market and want a very low cap rate, but the truth is like, what is the market calling for? But typically for primary, we're at like anywhere from 4 to 6%. In a very, very big, metropolitan area, like maybe New York City, you'll see a very low cap rate. But like in Tallahassee, or like, you know, in a bigger primary market, you'll see a higher cap rate. And that's just because of the buying power, right? Or, you know, that's really what it is like, who is willing to pay more for certain areas? That's it. And the lower your cap rate, you know, the higher your purchase price is going to be, right? It's better for the seller to have a low cap rate. You want to have as low as you possibly can, but it's better for the buyer to have a high cap rate, right? So it's really purchasing power is what it is. Okay. And then in your secondary market, you're typically like a 6 to 7% cap rate. And your secondary markets are going to be markets that are like, you know, standalone cities in your state, like Augusta, or like, you know, that don't have really big primary markets. Like Tallahassee has a primary market. It's a very, very small primary market, and only like CubeSmarts are in Tallahassee. CubeSmart will go into like a bigger secondary market, whereas like a U-Haul or Public Storage may not. They have like, you know, they have bigger like demands for city. Okay. And then 7+ for the tertiary market. Tertiary is like country. It's like everywhere outside of secondary markets or primary markets. All right. So this is like where you're seeing cap rates. We run all of our numbers, as you can see here, at a 7 cap. That's where we run us. That is a very good number to be using right now. That's a fair number. Now, back in the day when I started teaching, I was buying stuff at like 8, 10, 12 caps, okay? But I'd be in mostly tertiary markets. You cannot find deals this way. Like I have one student that's like, I want to have double-digit cap rates, Stacy. You teach double-digit cap rates. And I'm like, the market does not call for double-digit cap rates right now. If you're looking for a double-digit cap rate, then essentially what's going to happen is you're looking for like the ultimate diamond in the rough. And they're really just not out there anymore. I bought them all. We all bought them all. So like, don't limit yourself to, I want to have a double-digit cap rate, or, an 8 cap or a 10 cap or 9 cap. Because what happens is that there's really good deals, especially if you understand creative deal structures. Because like, if you run your numbers at an 8 cap for bank financing, you will have a different outcome at a 7 cap with like creative deal structure, some sort of creative deal structure. So you're really shooting yourself in the foot if you just like are only thinking about cap rates. And I highly recommend that you really look at the full picture. And the deal analyzer, you can see all these tabs at the bottom. They really kind of give you the full picture of, how a deal looks like. And that's really what you want to do. Okay, so don't think that cap rate is like super important, because it's really not. It's just super biased is what it is. And what I would purchase for something is my risk level, and from a 1 to a 10 is like a 9 or a 10. So my cap rates are going to be different than if somebody's risk level was like a 5, right? And they're like, oh no, I'm not very risky. So their cap rate would be totally different. So that means that like, if you are talking to somebody and their risk level is not the same as yours, and they're telling you that that deal sucks, then you're really not, like, you're just, like I said, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because you may have a different risk level, you may have different parameters and stuff. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. Cap rates. I just want to make sure I'm going over that. And then also you can see here, there's the annual income. This is actually one of our deals that we purchased, so you can see the numbers on it. But so the annual income, right? So the cap rate, the annual income, the number of units, and the square footage. Okay, if you do not know what your square footage is, you could just go into Google and you could just measure it. You just have to right click, and then you could just measure the square footage, and it gives you a pretty close approximation of like how big that building is. Okay, so but you can also ask the owner, like, how big is your facility? And they say, oh, it's like 7,600 square feet or whatever. And they kind of have an idea, and then once you get into the unit mix tab, which is right here, that's where you're going to list out all the units, and you'll get an exact number of like how much square footage you have. Okay? And then you have vacancy, right? So 99, so like this is 99% full, right? Now the way that we look at our deals, you can see here, current, potential, and after updates. So we value our property in 3 different ways. We look at as is right now, what is the value of this property? Okay, and then we look at the potential. As you can see here, the potential, the only thing that changes is it goes from 99% vacancy to 8% vacancy. So this facility was an abandoned storage facility when we bought it. There was nobody there. So we put 99% vacancy into the numbers so that we can see what the value of this property is as is. And then if we take it to 8%, okay? This is the potential of the property. So this right here is really for mismanaged facilities, right? That's like a lot of mismanaged. Whereas after updates for us is income producing. This is what it's going to look like when it's an income producing property. Okay, so this is income. Okay. And so you can see, so now we're evaluating, and we try to, in our deal analyzer, we keep everything the same colors. We got blues, we got reds, and we got oranges. And then down here as well, we got blue, red, and oranges so that you can evaluate the property based off of these 3 different ways of looking at the deal. Because we buy a lot of mismanaged facilities. We really don't buy income producing properties. We stabilize our properties and then we sell them to somebody that wants a cash flowing income producing property. That's kind of how we do it, but you can also be interested in income producing properties. There's no right or wrong way. That's just kind of how we do it. So that's why we have to have this potential here, because the potential for us is like, okay, if we did nothing except for just fill this property up with tenants, what would the value of that property be, right? And then here, you can see the after updates is the opportunity, right? this is where like, what can we do? And here you can see in yellow, you can change the number of units, you can change the square footage, you can change the price per square foot, and you can change the vacancy. All right, so you can increase the vacancy, increase the number of tenants, you can add more units, add more square footage. You can also, increase the price. That's all the different ways, that's all the opportunities, right? To make this valued at what the potential of this property is, okay? And then we have here kind of, these are all the expenses like, that you're gonna be having that aren't gonna really ever change, okay? So you're gonna have like any clean out or CapEx, if you're gonna add more like units, then you can add more units and you can also put the CapEx. The CapEx is gonna be what it costs in order to add those units, okay? And then you also have your closing costs. It's going to cost us this much money to close this deal. All right, and so you can calculate like 1%, 2%, 3%. If you're gonna do an SBA loan, closing costs are like super high. If you're gonna go to the owner and close it yourself, closing costs are gonna be very low. Okay, so that kind of stuff. So that number could range, could be different. And then you have property taxes. And then you have utilities and insurance. Now on our deal analyzer, these three right here are formulas, right? But you can, anything in yellow on our deal analyzer, you can override. Okay, you could be like, nah, Stacy's number sucks. Like I'm gonna go in and put my own number, right? But we do create formulas for those just in case, because sometimes you just don't know what the property taxes are gonna be. The property tax is based off of the purchase price. And then what we did is we took the average millage rate throughout the entire country and we put that into the formula is what we did, really. So, but obviously property taxes in California, Texas, or New York, and in Illinois may be higher than like Mississippi or Alabama. So if you want to override that and change it, you could do that, okay? But you do need to know these things, right? So now you can see we've got the cap rate. Right, we've got the income, we've got the vacancy, we've got the units and the square footage, we've got the taxes, and we've got insurance. All right, these are the main things right here that you're gonna need in order to like run deal analysis. Okay, and then you're gonna start looking at what your opportunity is gonna be, all right? And so that's what the next page is going to, the next couple of tabs over here that I'm gonna show you are gonna help you to create your opportunity. If you know all this stuff right here, then you could really figure out what your income is right now, not your income, your valuation is right now. Like currently, what is your valuation? Okay, now I'm gonna click on this, yeah. And oh my God, how do I get rid of all this? I'm sure there's probably an easier way to clean all this, but I'll just do it this way. I'm still trying to figure this vibe out, but I love it so much. Okay, so well, just in case I need to write something. So this is the unit mix tab. It's kind of small and I do not know how to make it bigger, so I apologize, but at least you kind of get the gist of what it looks like here. Okay, so this right here, this is where you're putting your unit mix, like your actual unit mix. I have 10 by 10s and 20 10 by 20s and 8 10 by 15s and like 25 5 by 10s. Okay, so this is kind of what you're doing. And so you're just putting these all right in here. You get to choose, usually you get to choose if it's outside or inside, like climate control or whatever it is. You can choose that. You put your square footage in based off, 10 by 10 is 100 or whatever it is. And then you get to put in whatever units it is, the number of units. Okay. And as you can see, as you list all these down, it creates the total number, right? So we have 66 doors, 7,600 square feet based on the unit mix. So getting the unit mix from the owner is more important than asking like, how many units do you have and what's your total square footage? if you could just say, look, if you could just give me a list of your unit mix, whatever that is, I can figure out what the number of units is in your total square footage. Rather than, just, hey, give me a general number and what you think it is. Obviously they have a general number. We bought a facility where the owner, like he told us that he had 115 units. And then when we actually did the walkthrough and like looked at the storage facility, there was 121 doors. So like the owner didn't even know what he had, right? So you can't trust the owner. You can trust the list from the list from the deal analysis, from the unit mix, and then you could just put it in here. Okay, calculate that. And whether or not you use my deal analyzer or whoever's deal analyzer. All right, this is it. And then you want to put the price that they're charging. All right, what are they charging currently? You can see currently, what are they charging? Okay. And then you want to figure out what your competition is charging. Okay. So you can see here, this is where you're going to get these numbers. Now you need to do the second most important thing in running deal analysis, which is a competitive analysis. Okay, that's what you have to do. You have to look at your competition. Students will come, they'll fill out the info page, but they won't fill out the unit mix or the competition. And I'm like, I don't know if it's a good deal or not, because I don't know what the competition looks like. I don't know what the true unit mix is. These two right here, this unit mix and this competition tab are really kind of the two most important parts of your deal analysis, because you need to know what your opportunity is. And the only way that you have the opportunity to know the opportunities, you actually do a competitive analysis. Okay, so this is what we do for our competitive analysis. I'll come back to this sheet here in just a minute, but let me erase this so that we have all this. But so this is what our competitive analysis looks like. This is just like, this sheet is just a deal analyzer. That's all. It's just an Excel spreadsheet. That's all it is. So you can see here that we have like 8 competitors, right? All the way, all the way, and these are all within, you can see, like 8 miles. Okay, so there's 8 competitors within 8 miles. All their information about the competitor is all right here as well too. What their phone number, website, if they're full or not, because you got to call and ask that is what you're going to do. And then their address, have they claimed the Google business listing? Right, it's very important information to know if your competitors are on Google or not, right? And then is the facility gated? Is there an office, and what's the total square footage? Now, the reason that you're going to want to know what the total square footage of your competitors is because you need to know what your net capita per square foot is, right? You want to know, is there too much storage in the area, right? So you have to add all this up right here so that you can see if there's too much storage, right? It's like the total storage divided by the population, right? That's called your net capita per square foot, okay? And so then on top of that, you have your units. All right, so right here, this for us is just pulled from the unit mix tab. So wherever you put your information in 10 by 10s, 10 by 20s, 10 by 30s, this comes over. Okay, and then there you can just write down, you can call all the competitors. The best way is just to call the competitors and ask them if they have any availability or not. And you can ask them the prices, and just, you get that way. Another way, you can always look online, but the best way is to call, because calling really is going to get you the most accurate number. That's what they're actually proposing, because sometimes they have a website price, and we have like a ridiculous price. We've got website, we've got our standard, our management rate, our spare foot rate, our promo rate. So calling and seeing what you can actually get is the best way to get the numbers. Okay. And then you can see for each one of the units, right, you get the average per unit and the average per square foot. All right. All this information for us is calculated on the unit mix tab. Okay, that's how it is. So, I wonder what this is. No, that's not something. Okay. So now you can see here for the competition, you can see this right here, which is, no, not this one, sorry, this one. The average price in the area is 60 cents a square foot. Okay, that's what the competition is charging based off of what you've done your competitive analysis for. Okay. Okay. So now you can see here on the deal analysis, you see, this is the 60 cents right there. Okay, so we've taken that number, we've done our competitive analysis, and we've put it right into the info page so that we can actually run the numbers. Okay. So let me see here. So now you can see that we purchased, the purchase price we have not entered in yet. We cannot put the purchase price on this tab. Where we put the purchase price in at is under the financing inputs, all right? So now the next step after you fill out your unit mix tab is you have to figure out your financing inputs. Okay, and so that's where this comes in. It's like trying to figure out how you're going to pay for the deal and what your purchase price is. So the way that we do that is we came up with like what are the most important parts of the of your financing terms. Okay, and so what you're going to want to know is, make sure good, yeah. This right here, you can see, you're going to want to know your purchase price, the down payment, the interest rate, the interest only, is it an interest only loan, yes or no, your balloon, and your length of your amortization. All right, see, these are you can see this is where you're putting your inputs in yellow. And there's like a gazillion different ways to run numbers on this type of a calculator. These are really just 5 different calculators. All right, so you have your cash offer, and then you've got 3 creative deal structures, and then you've also got your bank financing structure. Okay, and basically these are all calculators are really just the same thing. All right, even though it says owner financing or whatever, it's just 4 different ways to run numbers. Okay. Now, the way that we run our numbers is we always put at least 4 offers in at the same time. And so you can see here that we're putting in a cash offer. Our cash offer is the same as our bank financing offers, typically, is where they're at. Okay. So this is where we're looking at what our cash on cash return is going to be. And we run our numbers at 10% cash on cash return. If we pay for this, what is the cash on cash going to be? We want it to be double digits or higher. And so we put our offers in at 10% and try to get them as high as we possibly can. All right, for the purchase price. Okay. And remember, it's all just negotiation. So you're trying to negotiate the deal, trying to get the best price. But at the same time, when you give something like this to the owners, there's just an awareness. You're making the owners aware that there are different ways to purchase a deal, not just getting one offer and then that's it. All right, because I would say most owners that we talk to, they're looking for like one offer. They're just looking for this offer right here. Okay, we want to let them know and show them that they can sell their property in a whole bunch of different ways, not just the one. So that's what this is. You're getting their wheels turning. Okay, so you can see here, when we look at our deals, we're typically looking at cash on cash, and the net profit is what we're looking at when we stabilize this property. This is the stabilization numbers, okay, is what this is. And so you can see here that on this property, if we offer $150,000 cash, based on the numbers that are in the inputs tab, in the info tab, based on those numbers, we would be at a 20% cash on cash return. Okay, and we would make, make this much money after our mortgage. That's cash, there's no mortgage, right? But we make this much money on an annual basis. Now, if we made 3 owner financing offers, right, just based off of how much money can we put down, right? We can put 10% down, 15 or 20% down. This number shows right here, right? If I put 10% down of $150,000, that's $15,000. If I put 15% down or 20% down, that's what it is. And I always tell my students, just pick a number that you can afford here. What can you afford? Or if you bring somebody in to partner, what can both of you afford together? I talked to one guy, one of my students, and he's in the process of trying to get a facility under contract in Tennessee. And he's like, I could come up with like 300 grand. It's like, okay, so then put that as your down payment. Anywhere, like start at 200 and work your way up to 300. And then run your numbers based on that. Or what you could do is you can ask the owner. Ask the owner, how much money do they want to get on a monthly basis? And this is a very good, if what are you making on a monthly basis, or what are you comfortable making on a monthly basis? I would just like to know what that is. And they'll tell you, like owners, like we have one guy right now we're working through. He's like, I need $7,500 a month. That's what I need. I need $7,500. It's like, okay, great. That is like the perfect starting place, right? So we're going to work with $7,500. But you want to know what the monthly payment is? It's right here. This is what I'm going to be paying you every single month for this deal, right? Does this look like, something that would be okay for you, this number here? If not, what's the number that works so that we can rerun our numbers? Yeah. And then at the end of the session, right? At the end of the session, you can see that they have the balloon. This is what they're making on their balloon. The balloon is just it's the end of the payments. It's the final payment, okay? So you can see here that we did a 10-year balloon with a 20-year amortization, right? On every single one of these. You can do 3 years, 5 years. That's one thing I was talking to one of my students about yesterday. It was like, he offered 10 years over 20 years, and the owner was like, I don't know. And I'm like, how long does if he's open to owner financing, what is he comfortable with for the length of the term? Maybe he only wants 3 years. Just ask him for 3 years. I start out at 10 and work my way down to 3 is what I do. So I've got deals that are like actually 12, 10, 7, 5, and 3 years. All right, just because I'm negotiating and working my way down to those numbers. So the owner may be okay with seller financing for 2 years or 3 years. You know what I'm saying? So maybe you have to figure that out. You have to ask the owner, what are they comfortable with for the balloon? Because 10 years might scare them off, right? And then you have finally you have the interest rate, right? And I'm going to tell you, most owners do not care about the interest rate. They do not care. They care about what the monthly payment is. They care about the balloon payments more so than what the interest rates is, right? But some, I've seen investors that are selling their properties, they care about interest rates, right? That's really kind of the only ones that really care. Most people just care about how much money they're making on a monthly basis, or how long am I going to have to do this for. All right, but so I always start out with the lowest interest rates. I have never paid any more than 5% interest for any of my deals ever. I start at 3% and work my way up to 5%, and that's it. So that's kind of how I do it, because most owners, they really don't care about that interest rate. And then, you know, a lot of times if this mortgage is too high, say, look, I can pay more money if you lower the interest rate. And they'll be okay with that because they want that monthly payment. So it's kind of like you're creating this win-win situations, like a give and a take. But unless you understand that you're going to be asking and negotiating all of these terms as you're going through the process, and negotiating all these terms, and maybe one of these terms triggers whether or not you're going to be able to get that deal. If you don't ask that number, or you don't make an offer showing those numbers, you could lose that deal. So that is why we spell this out, and we make sure that when we make our offer, that we are showing this information. All of this information is from here up, all this information is everything that the owner is going to want to know or see on any deal, right? So now 150,000, this is bank or private investing, and you can see here that we have interest only, right? So you can switch the terms from fixed interest to interest only, right? Because if you have a private lender that's going to give you 150 grand, you're going to run your numbers differently, whether, you know, from where like an owner is going to sell or finance it to. Okay. So that's kind of how we have that. And so these are the terms that we put in: 150,000, 1% interest, and it's 10%, no, sorry, I'm sorry, 1%. 1% down payment, 10% interest, and then 5 years, over 5 years, which is basically like 5 years. In 5 years, we will sell this property or do whatever we want. All right, so we're running our numbers. This is for our private financing, is what it is. All right, and this is what our mortgage is. Okay. And and in the end, this is a property that we actually bought. We bought it for this. We paid we got $150,000 from somebody. And then we paid the owners 150 grand. And it was an interest only loan from the private money lender at 10% interest. And they're giving us 5 years for this deal. So you can see that our cash on cash return is 378%. Because we didn't put any money in the deal. We got 100%, it was funded for 150 grand, and I just got 150 grand from somebody. Right? So that's why the cash on cash is so high. But so you would not be able to run what the numbers are if you couldn't run calculations on this and look at the numbers. And then finally, let me just erase all this. And then finally, we're going to get to the, Ooh, clear just came out. Oh my gosh, see? Learn something new every day. And then you can also, on the deal analyzer, let me see. Yeah. You can see here that you can look at your cash flow. Okay, so you can see so this is what you're asking, you're showing the owners. This is the information that the owners want to see. But the main thing I wanted to show you was oh my gosh. Okay. Is the cash flow. Why is it not staying? Okay, just leave it. Anyways, this is the cash flow. So if I paid cash, right, you could see that, the income when I bought it was $83 a month. The operating expenses are $1,539. The NOI is a negative $1,456. And then the net monthly income is a negative $1,456, right? So currently, right? If I went and got bank financing, this is what the numbers would look like. So it's just kind of showing you what your cash flow is going to be. And then this is as is, right? And this is going to be like after you increase the rates. Okay, so your cash, right here shows that it could make $4,195. The expenses are going to be $1,539, and then your NOI comes out to $2,655, and then minus any mortgage. There's no mortgage, so that means I'll be making this much money if I paid cash for the deal. Now I did the bank financing, which is really the private lender. Right, so you can see here that same income, same expenses, NOI, And then you can see my mortgage is $1,237 a month. And then I minus that mortgage from my income to make my net income of $1,400 a month. And the cash on cash is $378. So it shows you kind of the cash flow of what it does, right? Based on your inputs. Okay. And then also, finally, I wanted to show you that you could look at your valuation. If I looked at the valuation of the opportunity, what we call the after updates, this is going to show you kind of your whole valuation. So you can see here that you have the number of units, and then you have the rent per unit. It's all capitalized. If you were going to be able to afford a property management fee, you would put it right in there. I purchased it for $153. That's $3,000 for, like, just in startup expenses or whatever. And then the valuation comes out to $455,000. I have $302,000 because I bought it for $150,000, right? And my NOI is $31,000, and my debt to service ratio is 215. Right? If I can make any other income, I could put it here as well. If there's like expansion, or if there was like a sign or an apartment or whatever it is, I'd put that right there. And then you could see that I make $54,000, right? The vacancy is a minus $4,000 for vacancy. And then the expenses are here, right? We didn't talk about expenses, but your expenses are going to be insurance, property taxes, maintenance, utilities, staffing, a property management fee if you can afford it, software, marketing, and the mortgage payment. Okay. So that those expenses come to $18,000. I have so $53,000 minus the $18,000 is an NOI of $31,000. So it kind of shows you, and this is if you have a mortgage, right? So you can see here that my mortgage payment is $14,000 a year. So now my NOI, now my net after my mortgage is going to be the $17K. That's what I'm making on this property per year. Okay. And then once you look at this, so you can look at your valuation current, you can look at the valuation potential, you can look at your the valuation after update. So all three of them you can look at, and you can see if there's any differences from current to after updates. Okay. And then finally, we have the seller financing offer. The seller financing offer, oops, is oh crap, I messed it up. Make this bigger. Okay, we'll just do that. I don't want to screw it up. But anyway, so this is the letter. This is the seller financing letter. X out of here. X, I need X. Okay, wait, hang on. Hang on, get this. This is why. This is why. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Now let me try to see if I can get over here. There it goes. Okay. Okay. So this is the owner financing letter that we send out. As you can see, that the table where we run the numbers is right here. Okay, so this is our cash offer, owner financing, and then our actually we do cash offer and 3 seller financing offers is what we do, which really is any offers, And the cash offers typically, if you have to go to a bank, you get a bank loan, right? That's the same number. Which which is really buying with cash. And then so this is a little letter that goes out, and then we just sign it and date it. And this is we just send this right out from our deal analyzer, but this is the offer letter that you should be using. Right? This is you are making 4 different offers. You're making a cash offer and a couple of creative deal structure offers. So you're making a bank financing offer and then a couple of creative deal structures or whatever it is that you want to make. That's the offers. And this is what gets your wheels turning on your owners. This is why they're willing to talk to you. It's because they're like, oh yeah, there's a couple of different ways that we could do this. And that's basically what the letter says. It's I'm just sending this over because there are several ways to buy this facility, not just one way. If you're willing to talk to us and explore those, let's set up a Zoom meeting and let's talk about it. And this letter we send out every week, and we have like at least 3 to 5 owner meetings a week, just because of the way that we send this out. So highly recommend that. Even if you're not using my deal analyzer, this is what you should be doing. You should be making several offers at the same time, just to get the wheels turning on the owner. Okay. But that is the deal analyzer in a nutshell. This is going over numbers, me going over numbers and showing you all the things that you're going to need in order to run deal analysis on your facility. Okay. Any questions on the deal analyzer? Any thoughts? Put them into the chat. So, all right, let's see. What a great tool. Thank you, Michelle. Are brokers required to submit offers to owners similar to real estate agents? The same thing. A broker and an agent is kind of the same thing. So yes, they're required. If you're going through CREXC to put offers in, they have to by law give you the offer to the owner. Now, do they? I don't know. You know, that's one of the main reasons I go directly to owners. Okay, you know, because I noticed that a lot of realtors are just like, nah, they're not gonna want that offer. They don't even send it over, you know, but by law, they're supposed to send the offer. Okay. All right. And then let's see. All right. So how do you set an offer for those? SBA rates are so high at 10 to 12%, it makes it hard to give a decent price on the facility with 50% vacancy. SBA rates are not 10 to 12%. If you're getting 10 to 12%, then you're getting a variable rate right now. And that means that you're not actually talking to lenders that will give you a fixed rate, because my students are getting fixed rates for SBA right now. Okay. All right. And then Leslie is posting out her calendar so that you can get her help for the deal analysis, which, you know, is kind of what I'm supposed to be doing here. So are you taking over my webinar now? Would you like to come here and teach, Leslie? Please come and teach. I would love for that. Okay. Thank you. When you purchase the facility, do you stay with their software or use your own? We use storage. So it doesn't matter what software that they use, we use storage internally. And, you know, you just need to be doing a lot of demos on the softwares right now, because there's a ridiculous amount of softwares and they're all doing the basic functions. But the truth is that they all are not equal. Okay. So just pick the one that's best for you. That's it. Anybody else? Okay. So again, we're back to square one, which was the, which I guess I can stop sharing here. So we're back to finished, and I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. I think that's it for the day. So if you guys are, you know, have any other questions, you can always email, or just go email questions@StacyRossetti.com. And that's it, I think, really. All right, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for today, and I'll see you soon. Okay, take care.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Storage Nerds. Hope this informative conversation inspired you to go out there and jump into this highly profitable business venture that people rarely talk about. Get more tips on storage space investing at www.StacyRossetti.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave a rating. Together, let's build that thriving passive income one storage space at a time. Until next time.